Hi, I'm Mark Farner, and you're watching CMS TV.
It is I think you say this, Wolf Brigade. Are you familiar with them, Chris?
I am not. I kind of like that.
That is called The Sum of All Vices, and that one going out by request to the Wretch. Just before that, we heard a classic from 1965, The Knickerbockers with The Lies for Henry Lee's Summer. Heard some classic Aerosmith there from the live bootleg release with Chip Away the Stone for Hardy Boy, and we heard Tiger Tails there with Six Sex. Yeah, say that 3 times in a row for Cole Robot. And then, of course, we kicked that block off with some Tankard with Mechanical Man. And speaking of a mechanical man, a guy behind the drum kit, our good friend and musician friend, longtime friend, Sammy Lee. What's going on there, Sammy?
Thank you for having me, fellas, as usual. How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing. Have we pulled you away from your accounting duties over there?
Actually, I was working at the deli tonight, slicing some meat. So
you were working at the deli?
At the deli, yeah. Changed jobs. So definitely don't look like a rock drummer, but that's all right.
Yeah, you guys are.
Focus isn't on me anyway.
Exactly. That's why they hide you in the back.
That is very true. Very true.
Well, Sammy, the reason I asked you to, join us tonight on the show is that you guys landed a nice little gig with LA Guns along the East Coast for the next couple of weeks, doing dates in the week and on the weekend. Are they mostly during the week dates, or is it just kind of a mix?
Actually, it's a really weird run. It's broken over 2 weeks. So we actually go out. We leave Tuesday for Warrendale, Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh, which is Tuesday night. We'll be playing there, and then we drive up to North Tonawanda, New York, up in the Buffalo area for a Wednesday night show. And then, as you guys know, we don't like to sit in one place at one time, so we'll get in the car and we'll make our way back to Richmond. Actually, I think we're going to drive back down to Pittsburgh and stay there. So then what we'll do is we'll play Pittsburgh, play Tonawanda, then go back to Pittsburgh, stay there the night, then we'll come home. Then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday back in Richmond, and then Tuesday in Annapolis the next week, which is the 29th. And then the 30th, we're at Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And then on the 1st, we're at Tally Ho in Leesburg, Virginia. Come back home for 2 days, and then we finish the tour in Virginia Beach on a Sunday night, May 4th.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Sammy, with this, you're obviously going out on a run, kind of right before LA Guns releases a record. I mean, what has been the fan reaction to you guys, both to you, and have you seen any reaction from any La Guns fans or at all?
Well, Chris, you know as well as I do, being an all original band, and I know y'all were speaking about that earlier. Where we've played, we've been fortunate to win over people musically, but that takes time. So I think the good news for us, to sort of answer your question, I know I'm kind of dancing around that, we haven't really seen any direct feedback, but you notice a little bit more when your Spotify numbers go up or your social media numbers go up, which we are seeing an uptick in that. And that's due to, us being on the bill. So when somebody will go buy tickets to Tonawanda, they'll see LA Guns with Red Rain, excuse me. And the reason I know this is when we went on the Nazareth run, a lot of people in the cities we went said, hey, we didn't know who you were until we saw your name. We looked you up. So I think that's really the key to it.
Very cool.
I don't know how many people we brought on board, but we'll find out soon enough. That much.
So, have you decided on a set list at all? Is it going to be the same one that you did with Nazareth, back last year, or are you, throwing in some of the newer songs from the new record, or what are you doing?
So we do have a set list. The funny thing about the set list is, when we got the tour, we booked the tour, and then you go through all the logistics, and it was okay. Red Rain's going to do 30 minutes, so I sat down and I did a 30-minute set, and then we had one venue reach back and says, "Oh, well, you're doing 45 minutes." So now we have two sets that we'll play. But yes, the most of the material for the 30-minute set is all new or newer material off the Don't Look Back album.
Okay.
As you guys know, we always have the mainstay, as you always say, the boss hit, Neely.
The Boss Hit Bound single, Not
The
That
boss
Way.
single, yeah, the boss single, Not That Way, is always in the set. So
Of course. That's a catchy tune. I picked that song the minute I heard from Chasing Shadows. That was the standout track for me. When you sent me the disc,
yeah,
before you did the re-record stuff, but it was definitely a song that jumped out at me right away.
it's a great song. It's fun to play too. So that's the mainstay. That's always that will be in every set we play. But what I did with this set, so what I normally do is I'll take the set and I'll kind of tinker with it first, and then the guys will put their stamp on it. But we're kind of, I don't even know how else to put it, but we're just coming balls out. We're playing everything that's hard and heavy, and a little faster than normal.
Well, will Bubba be doing any kind of dueling pirate, outfits against Phil Lewis? Because he's copped the whole pirate look these days. So Bubba might be in good company there.
I have been told. So I'm only going to tell you. I don't know if this is 100%. So I'm going to let the secret out here. I have been told the pirate shirt has been retired. So I don't know. I that's what I was told, but Bubba's Bubba. He's gonna wear whatever the hell he feels like, and you know what? I have no problem with that, because you know what? When Bubba and I decided to do this, the one thing that I was saying, when you go out and play like a band, you got to look like a band and sound like a band, obviously, and even though it is funny and we make fun of it, it differentiates himself between him and the audience, and so I'm okay with it.
Right, no doubt. Well, I'm curious. Obviously, LA Guns has significant history, and certainly Tracy is a well-regarded, well-respected guitar player. How does that play for Stevie? Is he excited to see Tracy play every night, or does he give a shit? Or what's that been like? Or looking like?
You guys know me well enough. I don't like to answer for somebody else, but
Sure.
I will tell you, the answer I can give you, probably the best answer, is we're excited anytime we get on stage with anybody of that caliber. I mean, obviously, Tracy's work is remarkable, as well as the band itself. But when you get on stage with an LA Guns and a guitar pro like that, or even when we play with Dokken and John Levin, and when you play with Slaughter, Red B, I mean, all that, we all look forward to being on stage or sharing the stage with musicians of that caliber. So that's probably the best way I can answer it. And I would probably assume Stevie and Bubba are both excited about it, but you guys met them. How much emotion you get out of them?
Meanwhile, there's you, and you're just like, it's business as usual. God damn it!
It is business as usual. I mean, that's why I kind of run the business side of it and not the other side of it. So it's good.
Not only am I the band's drummer, but I'm also the accountant.
That's true. See, I'm the accountant, and I might even be the caterer after tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was Steve Riley's job too. When he was with LA Guns, he would do all the books and stuff after the show. There were many times that I was pretty tight with the LA Guns guys there for quite a while, late 90s into the mid 2000s, and when they started changing off and Tracy left the band and he was working with Nikki Sixx and that Brides of Destruction. And then, Phil and Steve went off and continued on with LA Guns, and Tracy was doing his various projects and things. I would run across Steve or Phil, at various times. It was always good to see those guys. So they've always been very good to me over the years that I've known them. I've known them for quite a while, and very friendly guys, always very cool guys. But Steve Riley used to be the guy, the pen and paper guy at the back of the tour bus there, figuring out the night's receipts and the merch and everything else that they sold. So, I know that you guys drag your merch out on the road, and are you surprised at the interest in buying Red Rain merch and things?
I am. Yeah, obviously I am. To go back a little bit with what you guys were talking about before the break about the original music, it as we all know, it's a tough sell, right? And nobody wants to hear it. You're right. Nobody, like Chris said, you want to be able to go out and have a couple drinks and know the music that you know. And you guys know the story, and I'm sure I probably told it on here before, but when Bubba and I decided to do this project, it was we were going to do our own music. And at first, I know this sounds kind of really crass, but we didn't really give a damn people liked it or not. We wanted to do what we wanted to do. We were going to put it out there and see how it went. Luckily for us, people were very receptive to it. And that's how the band sort of evolved with Larry and then Stevie, and then with Chip and David Ivory, and with y'all's help with Chip. But so that's really the motto that I try to find is no cover tunes, which we've remained so far. And so, when somebody takes interest in the music and also gives us positive feedback and buys a t-shirt, that really, it does mean a lot, and it goes a long way with us. And both of y'all have seen that after the show, the first thing we do is really, we take our equipment, we basically just throw it off the stage and we run to the merch table just so we can, talk to people and get feedback and maybe interest them in buying something that's ours.
Sure. How much is that stance pushed to you? Meaning specifically, like you said, you've got management. Obviously, Chip Ruggieri is involved, and being involved, of course, he wants to see numbers.
Right.
And bottom line, I know you guys are probably friendly and all, but at the same time, he'd like to see a little coin himself. That being said, does he ever push you and say, I know you have this stance, but it would be really good if you knocked out your own Phil Collins cover or something to give me something to work with?
No, answer, to be flat out, no, he doesn't. And that's the great thing about Chip, and you guys know Chip, but that's the great thing about David Ivory as well, who produced both our music albums, the EP and the full length, is neither one of them have taken our ideas and changed our ideas or ideals of what we wanted from the band. They've been nothing but encouraging, and on Chip's side, and Chip understood from day one when we spoke. Chip and I met. Just a little story. Chip and I met at David Ivory's studio the first day we went up to start pre-production on the EP. And Chip and I sat there for an hour, and he asked what I wanted, and I asked what he would be able to do, and we just put it all on the table then. So no, we're not getting pushback there, but does it hurt to put coin in anybody's pocket? No.
Right.
But, we don't see a lot of money, and that's okay. We really enjoy what we do. But, the more we go out and the more we get a little publicity like you guys do with us or other things that we do, it does help a little bit. And by the way, it goes back to Neely's point. So being the drummer and the accountant, it makes it very easy when you have more zeros than you do any other numbers on there. So that helps.
As long as they're not all zeros.
Not all zeros, but no. So really, to answer your question, no, everybody's on board with what we're doing. But I will tell you, we did get some outside. I won't mention any names, but there was somebody in the music business who had kind of reached out and said, you guys really should do this cover and it was a Pink cover. And I mean, before he got the word Pink out of his mouth, I'm like, nope, not gonna be done. Nope.
What's up, everybody? Chris Akin here from Chris Akin Presents, and Chris Akin Presents is going to be bringing you the world premiere of the project's brand new video, For Death of Me. The video, which features James Davis, Scott Shiflett, Jimmy DeAnda, Dennis Hill, Kevin Valdez, and Eric Ferentinos, is fantastic, and you are going to want to see this one. Tune in on Tuesday, May 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Chris Akin Presents Live, as members of the project will be joining us to chat about the song, the band, what's next, where they're going with it, all the good stuff. You want to be part of it too and participate with us, for God's sakes. Tune on in. So you don't want to miss this. One more time, May 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern, Chris Akin Presents Live. We will be world premiering Death of Me, the new single from the project.
That just about stole my joke here. I was actually gonna say, so we won't be waiting for that "Oops, I Did It Again" cover anytime soon.
And here's the funny part: there was a time when we thought about doing a cover, but the four of us are just so knuckleheaded and so hard-headed. We sat for an hour. Nobody could agree on one song.
Right.
Which, which means, nobody's going to be happy playing Stevie's tune. Nobody's going to be happy playing Bubba's tune, my tune, or Larry's tune. So we said, what the hell? Just stick with what we know.
Right. Well, and the thing is, you should stick with what you want to do. I mean, at this point, I think you guys have pretty much decided you're not going to be rivaling Metallica for tour tickets anytime soon. So.
No, we're not.
So you might as well do what, you are getting out there more than a lot of other bands are, and you're doing it your own way. So why should you compromise?
But and you're right. And that was the plan. The plan was, we're going to live and die by our own sword, and if people like it, this is awesome. And we've now taken this great trip for the last 9 years. Excuse me. And if they didn't like it, that was okay too. You guys know as well as I do, everything's subjective with music, so people are going to like what they like and they're not going to like what they like. So that's why we were just like, what the hell? And what also makes it better for us, at least, is we enjoy playing the songs. And I also think when you're an original band, it's not also just about the song, it's how you present it. So we try to have fun, and we try to present it to people where it's got a little 80s flair in it, that they can pick up something that reminds them of a song they like as well.
Well, if you were to ever do a cover song, do you have a song in mind that you would go, you know what, I wouldn't mind trying my hand at that song?
Well, there's that Pink song.
I mean, if you had a song in mind, being a musician and all, and you thought to yourself, I always liked that song. I'm wondering, what it would be like if we were to do a cover of that. What would it be?
That's a hard question, because I've never thought of that. I will tell you the song that I presented to the band.
Sure.
Right? So if this helps you, and it's going to be funny, so I'm just telling you, but I thought we could do a really good Red Rain version of a Rick Springfield song of, oh God damn it! Now I forgot the
Celebrate
song.
Youth.
Jesse's Girl.
Now I forgot the song. It was one of his bigger hits, which
Jesse's Girl.
Not Jesse's Girl. No. What is it? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna love somebody.
Yeah, that
Red Rain.
That was one of them, or the other one.
Was it off the Working Class Dog?
All right, now I'm pissed that I actually forgot the goddamn song.
Affair of the Heart.
Shit. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. It's I've done everything for you.
Oh,
see,
you've done nothing for me.
Let me tell you. Sammy, here's where you went. Here's where you went wrong on that. Don't call it a Rick Springfield cover if that's the tune. Call it a Sammy Hagar cover.
You know the roadblock there, Chris.
I know that, but
No,
that would be the one that gets the controversy going.
Right. But that was something that we thought about, of taking something that a lot of people don't do. But as you can imagine, because I could see it in your guys' faces, the other three guys I presented to had the same look on their face as well. So it didn't really leave with good impressions. But those were the type of things we were thinking about, as sort of songs that were a little more under the radar than just a popular song.
Well, there's some bands out there that'll be doing one of their own songs, and it'll just lead into maybe a classic song of some kind, and you do maybe one, maybe two verses of it, and then break back into your own song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But see, I'm so far the other way now that's just not going to happen. It just did. I mean, I'm just being honest. It just didn't. And then Bubba actually came the other day. He's already got new material, so that's probably we're still working on future shows, and if that doesn't happen, then we're probably going to maybe put out a new single or one or two songs. So that we're contemplating. We're already sort of looking ahead after the LA Guns run.
Well, that's almost the way to do it these days, is to release singles. You just work up a new tune and get it out there. And then after, like I think Stephen Pearcy probably, started doing that, years ago, where he'd throw out a single every few months or so. And then at the end, he ends up with like 10 songs and then releases them on, like on a compilation or on a CD.
Right.
So you compile, 8 or 10 tunes and then release it as a disc.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process would be moving forward. I do know that, David, I talk to David constantly, and he's like, let's get some new material. So I don't know where we'll go with there. But one thing I did want to go back to, because I was thinking about now, Chris, when you said about Chip kind of intervening on some things, the one thing that Chip and I had discussed when we were doing Don't Look Back, and I had spoken to Neely actually, when we were talking about, after COVID, like, how are we going to come out and make a big splash again? And it was either we do a cover or we brought on a special guest. And obviously you see which way we went. We brought on George. But that was the only time Chip was thinking maybe we should do a cover. So
right.
But I went the other way.
Of course. So next time, will the guest? Would you ever have a guest drummer, or is that just too out of the question?
I'd have a guest drummer.
You're like, for the whole set, goddamn it, as long as I get paid.
I'll get up there and let them play, and I'll finish with Not That Way, and I'm absolutely happy with that. And it depends on who the drummer is as well.
Yeah, I could just see. Here's our guest drummer, Ricky Rocket.
I'd probably play most of the set.
Maybe you could get Herman Rarebell.
Yeah.
You could be one of Herman's friends. Herman the German's friends.
Herman the German, exactly. I mean, listen, nothing. That's the beauty of this, is nothing's off the table. I mean, if George wanted to come play Don't Look Back, Stevie and Bubba would just play rhythm. They don't care. I mean, it's so nothing's off the table there, but getting somebody to come do that that's the hard part.
Right. Well,
sitting aside watching them play, that's the easy part.
Well, do you make those contacts? Like, do you have somebody in Nazareth that you're texting back and forth with now, or will you make that kind of a contact with the LA Guns guys?
No, we won't. I mean, to be honest with you, these bands that we've been lucky enough to tour with or share the stage with are, I think iconic's too big of a word, but there are rock, again, heroes. I don't know, our rock gods that we grew up with, that we've all watched on MTV, and we watched them tour and we watched them live. So when you're there, you don't want to be that guy's like, hey man, love you guys, want to come play on our album. You don't want to do that. And you want to act like you belong there. So, you just have good conversations, and if something led to that, if I felt an opening, I'd probably take it. I did that one time and it worked out for me. Not so much having somebody come on the album, but talking to somebody. And I was told, you might not want to do that, but I saw the opening and I took it, and it was one of the better conversations I've had. So if I see that opening, I might take it.
Right on. The only thing I would say to that, and it's funny that this question came up, because I literally asked this question this afternoon to Carla Harvey, from formerly of the Butcher Babies.
Okay.
And she has a new band, and the first single that they put out has John 5 on it. And I literally almost asked her the same question. I said, well, how did John 5? And she's like, I just met him here and I asked him and he said yes. And boom, I'm just like, maybe. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, Sammy, you might want to ask these guys. Just say, hey, could I ever reach out to you, about making an appearance?
I also feel that, Chris, that you're right. We probably should, but it also has to be the right person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, somebody was asking about when George, when you guys helped us get George, and I remember some people were like, oh, once you hear that, it's George Lynch. It sounds like Dokken. Well, that's what we wanted. You want that. You don't want to bring somebody on who's not going to be who they are, if that makes sense. And so I think for me, it would have to be somebody that I think, and again, it's not just my opinion, because the guys in the band have to agree with it as well, but somebody that we think would fit to what the song is. We're not going to change the song to fit that person.
Right.
If that makes sense. So, which may seem a little stupid, but we're just on our own path, and we're just going to continue that path. But yeah, I probably should. I don't know. Sometimes I don't tense up. I don't get nervous, but I don't also want to overstep my boundaries, because and I did this. We sort of did this one time, and it really wasn't our fault, but if you make one wrong move and it gets back to the promoter and it gets back here and the artist doesn't like this,
That's
and
true.
you guys know as well I do, it gets back, and the next thing you know, it's these guys are difficult, even though you're not, but that's what you get. So you got to be a little careful.
Sure. Well, why don't you tell, once again, run down the dates and where you're playing and all that good stuff. So hopefully some of our fans who are listening to the show will come out and at least check out one of your shows, and, give us some feedback, or at least come up and say hello to you and let them know they heard you here on our show.
Yeah, that'd be great. So again, the tour kicks off Tuesday night in Warrendale, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, excuse me. And that's in Jurgles,
right?
Jurgles,
Yeah.
That's correct. And then we move up Wednesday, the 23rd, up in North Tonawanda at the Riviera Theater in New York. Then we come home, like I said, and then the tour kicks back up again on April 29th at Ram's Head on Stage in Annapolis. And then the next night, we're at the Ardmore Music Hall in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And that's May 1st, Thursday, May 1st. And then, I'm sorry, I got my dates messed up. Wednesday, the 30th. May 1st, we're in Leesburg, Virginia at Tally Ho Theater. And then we end up at Elevation 27, May 4th, which is a Sunday night. So if anybody's from the Classic Metal Show, please come and say hi to us, and let us know that you're from the show as well, and we can always talk about the show.
Nice.
Perfect.
Not our show, the Classic Metal Show.
Nobody wants to do that.
Come on. Everybody wants to talk about you rock stars.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure.
Please. Well, Sammy, just real quick, and I'll text you this offline, but
yeah,
if on either Monday or the Thursday when you're back in Pennsylvania, obviously, if you guys want to go play pinball to unwind a little bit, that door's open. Just let me know.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll text you tomorrow.
Okay.
I know you kind of got a late night tonight, and I know you like to get your beauty rest. So tomorrow, I'll give
Yeah,
you
well,
till tomorrow.
clearly that rest ain't working very well.
So yeah, but I mean, if we can get up there, yeah. Here's the problem: we're leaving Tuesday for the Jurgle show, and we just found out we have to be there 3 hours earlier than we normally do. So I think that Thursday night's going to be the Tuesday's going to be really tight for us. But if we can make it, we will.
That's fine. Well, I'm just saying, I know you said you were going back on Thursday to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If you do, swing on by, play some pinball.
No, we're going back Wednesday night.
To Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we're playing and we're going to play in New York because it's about 3.5 hours.
Okay.
And we're going to be off stage I believe the schedule is we're 8 to 8:30, and then we'll do the merchandise thing, and then we're going to leave and come back because that shortens a 10-hour drive. And if we get back to Pittsburgh, in Warrendale, that's a 6-hour drive. So we're going to try to lessen the drive back home on Thursday.
This sounds horrendous.
Yeah, Chris won't even drive to his bank, let alone
that's right.
from Pittsburgh to Tonawanda and Tonawanda back to Pittsburgh.
This sounds awful.
Chris, we're the road warriors. We'll come pick you up and take you to Tonawanda. We'll take you home and we'll go back to Pittsburgh. So I mean, if that's what we got to do, but
no, you have to play at Cleveland at the Roxino, which is 10 minutes from my house. That's the only way.
Still
you
wouldn't show up.
I might show up for that. Hey, I drove. Let's be fair. The one time I did see Red Rain, I drove a good distance 2 nights in a row for the pre-show and that was. How far was that, Neely? Like 2 hours?
You went to Massillon from Twinsburg, so it's about an hour each way.
Yeah, like I said, 2 hours. 2 hours driving for me is like 30 for either of you guys. So.
Well, I will say, listen, Neely came up to Grand Rapids to see us, and Neely's he came to Virginia, but that wasn't to see us. We just happened to be playing with Akin, but Neely was there.
I was there.
He gets the win for that. So
that's right. And I went up to St. Charles.
And St. Charles, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I won't drive to Virginia Avenue, which is about 6 miles from here.
Well, hey, listen, we don't mind driving. Like I said, we'll come get you. So that's not a problem. We'll drive all night if we have to. That's
just set up a webcam. I'll watch it there. It's fine.
Listen, I'll tell you real quick before you got to go is when we played that Grand Rapids, Michigan show.
Yeah.
And you guys know the stories, and Neely saw it firsthand about how hammered half the guys were. On the way home, I started driving. Those guys passed out. I drove all 14 hours home. So I said to myself, I'm never doing that again. So if I can go to Pittsburgh and then go to New York and at least take 3 hours off a drive on Thursday, I'd rather do that. Because the last thing is after a show, and you guys know when you do something and you're out there, you're kind of jacked up anyway. You're not going. You couldn't go back to the hotel and go right to bed. There's just no way. So
no, but when you run out of that, when that juice wears off, then it's like I got to stop now.
that is true, but we made it home from St. Charles, Illinois. We made that, and we drove all night home back to Richmond.
Yeah, you did. You just packed it up and headed on out.
Well, we were going to stop at a hotel, but we pulled someplace at like 1:30 in the morning. Stevie says, "Hey, Stevie says, hey man,
you were fueled by White Castles."
Well, that earlier the day, but Stevie said, I just took like a 3 or 4 hour energy drink, and I said, well, hold on, let me just drink a Coca-Cola, and we just drove. So, but at least we got some hotels on this one. We're staying, we're going to stay the night in Pittsburgh twice, and then we'll stay in Annapolis when we play. We'll stay in Pennsylvania. But when we get back to Leesburg's only 2 hours. I mean, that's a walk compared to what we do. So, we'll drive home after that show.
Nice. All right, Sammy. Well, hey, congrats on the opportunity to finally get out and play for the folks, and get to play with a new band. I know, obviously you've played with Lita, and you've played with Nazareth and Tesla, and now you played with Akin, and now you get to play with LA Guns.
Yeah, we're very excited. Very excited.
Love their first album. Yeah. So. Well, good for you. So go out and see our good friend Sammy and the boys at Red Rain. go see LA Guns. They'll be out over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully, if they're coming to a town near you, you'll spend a couple of shekels and go see them. You don't mind I use shekels, do you, Sammy?
Not at all.
Because I don't want to seem racist or anything.
That ship has sailed, Neely. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. No, everything's fine. And if anybody gets a chance and has not heard us, we're Red Rain, REIGN. So we're redrainband.com at this brand newer monster website that somebody had built for us.
That's already been like 2 years, hasn't it?
Am I allowed to say who built it?
Yeah, go ahead. Neely did, right?
That would be Mr. Chris Akin.
It's powered by Akin IT Services.
That's right.
And that's AIKIN since we had it on the album.
Yeah, it's not, but that's all right.
I know it's not. I'm just kidding. Because Neely always likes to still throw that at me that I misspelled your name. But no, thank you, Chris, for that. And then we're on all downloadable music sites. So if you haven't heard the band, please go check us out. Whether you like us or you don't, just give us a try. That's all we ask.
All right.
There you go.
All right, Sammy. Well, as always, we always let the artists pick a song to take us out of the interview. So, what should we play from the massive Red Rain catalog?
Well, I think since we talked about it, why don't you go ahead and play "Not That Way"?
Okay, your Boss Hitbound single, "Not That Way."
Hitbound single, yep.
All right. Go see Red Rain LA Guns coming your way on the East Coast. Go see those guys. You'll enjoy it. So here it is. This is Red Rain from their EP, originally on Chasing Shadows. And this is Not That Way, exclusively here. What, Sammy?
On your classic metal show.
What's the most painful way to die? Shotgun blast? Speeding bus? Drowning? But for many, burning alive is the most unimaginable fate. In 1994, Chris survived an industrial accident that left him with burns over 69% of his body. Just living defied all odds. In Call Me Chris, Chris Akin shares his harrowing journey of survival, recovery, and the brutal honesty of facing life after the flames. It's raw, real, and a testament to human resilience. Get your copy of Call Me Chris today at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Witness the power of determination.